Good morning, everyone. We will start as we have also live audience online. So first of all, welcome. Thank you so much for your interest in this presentation. Also, it's an honor to be presenting in this venue, and happy Friday to all of you. Also, welcome to the people that are online. Please, if there are any questions, please submit them on the website. So today, the objective of this session is to give you some tips and recommendations about how you can join CTBTO, giving you more information about the different opportunities that we offer. But also, I will not do this by myself. There will be more people joining. I will be introducing them briefly soon. So first, let me introduce myself. My name is Domenico Taverna. I'm the head of Recruitment and Staff Development Unit at CTBTO. I'm Mexican and Italian originally. I've been working in different international organizations, International Atomic Energy Agency, the World Food Program, and at the latest at the World Bank. I recently joined CTBTO 2 months ago, and I'm very happy to be with you. So. Also, my colleague Hema, she will introduce briefly herself later, and she will guide us through the recruitment process. She will give us some tips and recommendations on how you can position your application at the best, so you can have good chances to be successful in the recruitment process. Then we have Juliana, that will give us some information about the staff entitlements and benefits that we offer. And finally, we will have Jeremy that will give us some information about the mentoring program that we offer. So in terms of the content, let me quickly give you an overview on what are we going to review today. First, we will start with giving you a brief introduction on the mission, and I'm sure that already after these days in S&T, you already have a good idea on what we do, but we will go briefly to that. Then I will explain a little bit more about the different divisions that we have, what is the type of work that we do in each of the divisions. Then I will give you some numbers and some details on the staff that works at CTBTO. And then the main focus of our presentation will be on the recruitment process. So where can you find the job opportunities? How can you create a good application? How can you have a successful interview and assessment process? And then give you information about the entitlements, benefits, and the mentoring program that Juliana and Jeremy will be sharing. Also, please, at the end of the interview, we will try to have a Q&A session, so you will need to get into the microphones and ask the questions that you may have. So let's start with the mission. And as you already know, CTBTO is a key player in global peace to end nuclear explosions in the world. And what I want to emphasize here is that we cannot do this if we don't have the people. And that's why we as recruitment, we have an important mission on attracting the most qualified professionals to help us on achieving this important mission. Also, in terms of the different types of work that we offer, this is not just a scientific organization. Of course, we operate in very scientific fields. However, we also have positions that do not require a scientific or technical background. For example, in human resources, in finance, procurement, there are other areas where you can have a successful career. So basically, there is a place for you if you have the skills and the interest and the motivation to join CTBTO. Now moving into the different divisions, and let me start with the International Monitoring System Division. This is the second largest division in the organization. The division operates the global network of the monitoring stations, more than 300. Then all this information is collected and sent to the International Data Center and this is the largest division within the CTBTO. And they will receive that information, analyze it, and share it with all the member states in real time. Then we have also our on-site inspection division. This is, if you have been to the SNT these last days, these are the people, the staff that are working next to us in the booth with the virtual reality camera. So I encourage you to also visit that. Very interesting job. So what they do is they will conduct inspection in the field, and which are the final verification measure of the treaty. Then we have the Office of the Executive Secretary, and this is where human resources is, together with other functions such as internal audit, quality management, and performance monitoring. And we provide oversight and strategic services to the whole organization. Then we have the Legal and External Relations, which promotes the ratification of the treaty, the entry of force, and provides the legal guidance to the organization and to the countries. And finally, the Division of Administration, which is the administrative backbone of the organization and provides assistance in financial and budget resources. So now, before we move to the next stage, at the end, the most important resource in the organization at CTBTO is our people. And our staff are highly skilled staff. And what I wanted to share a little bit more is that the diversity. We're very proud of the diverse environment where we are. Just to give a quick example, in recruitment, all of us are coming from completely different backgrounds, not only from nationality, but also professionally, which makes the experience quite relevant. CTBTO is an organization of a little bit more of 300 staff members. More than 90 nationalities are represented. And if we talk about the different regions, we are very well represented across all the regions. Of course, there is always opportunity to improve. So if you are part of a professional association or a region where you would like to promote the work of CTBTO, we are happy to help you on promoting the job opportunities that we offer. So now we will move to the important part of the presentation, which is the application process of CTBTO, and for that I will hand it over to my colleague Gemma that will guide us through the steps.
Today I remember to adjust the microphone. So good morning, everybody, and thank you, Domenico. As he introduced, my name is Hema Kularatne. I am Human Resources Officer at CTBTO. I have been in the CTBTO for the last 5 years. So I also bring a lot of UN experience and also working in international organizations. Last being the International Civil Aviation Organization in Montreal, Canada. So with that, I am going to give you actually details of the first step in the recruitment process. So that is the application process. So I also hope to give you a lot of tips that you will be able to use when you apply for CTBTO as well as to other UN and international organizations. So stay tuned, okay? So we move to the next page quickly. And let me first talk very briefly about our different contract types. And at the end of towards the end of the presentation, my colleague Juliana will give you very important information about the compensation package. So if you talk about different contract types, we have all these different contract types, as you can see in the screen. If I talk about international professionals, this is a category that we recruit people from all over the world. Of course, the candidates with the nationalities of our state signatories. And all these contract types differ from each other in terms of their duration, in terms of their educational credentials and experience that is needed, also the compensation package. So if we focus on for the international professionals, you need a degree, bachelor's degree or master's degree, depends on the level, and the level starts from P1 and goes until P5 and D1 and D2 in some organizations. We use the International Civil Service Master Standards to classify these posts. And for example, for a P1, we are looking for candidates with bachelor's degree and 1 year of experience, while for a P5, it would be a master's degree and 10 years of experience. So moving on to the general services, we are looking for like candidates with high school diploma and also some technical qualifications in the field of expertise that we are looking for. In terms of short-term consultancy and temporary assistance, the duration of those contracts are much shorter than the fixed-term ones. And most importantly, internships. I see young professionals also here. I'm very excited to see them here. And just internships, if you can afford at this stage of your career to have an internship at CTBTO, this is a mutual opportunity for you to work with get familiar with how CTBTO works, and you get the opportunity to work with our scientists and the professional staff, and this is really like for you to know whether this is the place that you want to be in the future. So therefore, this is also an opportunity for you to consider. Moving on to the next page, I am going to skip it for the interest of time. This is where you can find the vacancies. As you know, our web address is www.ctbto.org, and it's self-explanatory when you go to the web page and just go scroll down, and we will see all our vacancies. As my colleague Domenico mentioned, even though we are a technical organization, we have other opportunities that if you are an expert in those fields. So with that, I would now like to move on to the application process. First of all, I would like to emphasize how important your application is. I would call this a passport to begin a career at CTBTO. Why I say this is, the information that you provide in your application form is the only information that we have when we do the long list for you. That means this dictates your suitability and eligibility for a given post that you're going to apply. So therefore, my advice to you is take the time to prepare your application and of course the cover letter and tell your story to us to convince a hiring manager and convince the recruitment panel. So I am going to now walk you through all the steps, and during the process I'll give you some tips that you would be able to present a very good application. So in the CTBTO application process, there are 3 main steps. One is to create a profile. Second is to fill in employment information form, we call it EIF, and to prepare a cover letter. So in terms of creating a profile, I want to talk about 2 things which are pain points for us and which are important points for you. One, when you create a profile, they will ask for an email address. My advice to you is to always use your personal email address. If you use your official email address and by the time we contact you, it might be a couple of weeks elapsed. So if you are in transition to another job, you might not get our email. So number 2 is you will have to, there will be a drop down for languages. You need to be proficient, fluent in English to work in CTBTO, as in other UN organizations. So if you, for example, select basic or intermediate, you would be selected from the system. And of course, as you know, you need to be fluent to select fluent, basically. For your information, fluency is defined as being fluent in all the 4 areas of the English language, that is reading, writing, speaking, and understanding. So now we move on to the employment information form. If you have applied for us, already you know that the employment information form has 2 spaces. One is to write the job description of duties. The second is to write the achievements. So the space for description of duties is for you to articulate what is your direct experience and knowledge. And then the space for achievements is what you have achieved, to tell us what you have achieved so far against the vacancy notice requirements. And then we will go through a vacancy and we'll see how you can analyze this information. And you will have to also use this technique at the beginning. Before you even applying for a job, you need to do what we are going to do right now with the vacancy announcement in order to decide whether you have the related experience for the requirements that they are asking. If you are convinced that you have like about 60, 70, 80% of experience, then please go ahead and apply. Otherwise, you might not be able to prove to us, showcase to us that you have the directly related experience. So with that, I would now move on to the next page. This is a fictitious vacancy that I selected for the purpose of this exercise. So when you see a vacancy, this is the exercise you do as homework first, and then you do the same exercise, getting ready, mentally ready to do the employment information form. So first of all, note the title of the post, project officer. When you read this, you should feel familiar. Yes, I know what you are going to say, okay? Then you note the level, P3 is international professional, grade level 3. And then also very important, note the deadline. As most of you know, applying for a UN or international organization is a tedious task. So it might take much longer than you think to prepare the whole application form if you are going to do a good job, because you need to really do a good job to convince the hiring manager and the recruiters. So we move to the next page. This is duties and responsibilities. So this is the things that you are supposed to do should you become the selected candidate. Basically, I have highlighted some verbs. These are called action verbs. So it is very good that you've been proficient of action verbs and be fluent in using the action verbs, because these you would use throughout the recruitment process. As you see, we use it in the vacancy notice stage. You would use it in the when you write the EIF. I will show you how to write it, and then you would use it in the cover letter. Also, you would use it at the interview. So basically, action verb itself does not mean anything. As you see, manage and coordinate doesn't say you much. You need to read it together with the associate deliverables, like manage and coordinate the implementation of the IMS annual work program. When you say that, that makes sense. So when you read this, do active reading, not passive, understanding it. The exercise you should do is, when you go bullet by bullet, reflect your depth and breadth of experience that you have gained in your professional life to see how you can align this experience to the job requirements. This is what you're going to do in the EIF. So when you read it, if you have your thoughts, then it's easier when you do the EIF. Otherwise, it's going to be difficult actually. That's what the homework that I want you to do. And then we go to the next page. Let's talk about education, work experience, qualifications, and languages. So in terms of education, for all international professionals, we need a university degree up to P3 level. And then the associated experience could differ. For a P3, we're talking about a minimum of 5 years experience. And also, I have highlighted some other words in green and blue. The ones in green are essential qualifications, meaning you need to have this qualification in order to apply for a job. If you don't have that, that means your application will be rejected through the system, because there will be screening questions during the application process. And I would ask, do you have experience in program and project management? If you say no, you will be rejected. If you say yes, I would ask you to briefly explain. You can explain briefly, maybe with the help of the Ch2. However, when I screen the application, if I don't see a link where you did the project and program management, then of course I will have to take a decision at this point. I don't see your experience, then you will be rejected anyway. This is all to say that Be very truthful when you do the application, because you will be caught at some point during our very rigorous process if you don't have the experience. So then, in terms of desirable, you don't have to have them. You can apply them, apply without them. But if you do have, please take the time to indicate it, because we might decide to make it mandatory at some point if we have a lot of applications to like refine the shortlist. With that, let's move to the next page. That is the most interesting page that I was telling you, the exercise that we had to do. So this is like the description of duties in your application form. I'm going to tell you how to do it. Just take a paper and write a T. This is called T technique. You have to go to the vacancy advertisement, copy all the bullet points and paste it on the left side of the table. And then you remember you did the exercise reflecting your experience. Now you jot down that experience on your right. How you do it is, you can use the same action verbs that we did it in the vacancy. Provide strategic and specialized technical advice. You can say, provided specialized technical advice. Then you say more. Now you present your associate deliverables. Where did you do this? During the system development, by conducting a comprehensive analysis. Now you give us more details how you did it. And then you also go more to say implemented an agile development methodology to ensure flexibility and adaptability throughout the process. So you are giving us more details. You are convincing me that, oh yes, for sure you have this experience. So this is how you write it at the end of doing this exercise for every bullet point. I'll give you some tips. You can select only most applicable skills, because when you go through your career, you must have covered many scopes. There is no need to write everything that you have acquired. You can just limit it to the applicable skills in the vacancy announcement. And also be concise and brief, avoid long sentences. And also it's very important to avoid passive voice. It's not the same to say, and comprehensive analysis was conducted. Then I conducted the comprehensive analysis, because if you use passive voice, I would not know whether you did it, your supervisor, or your team did it. Therefore, always avoid passive voice, and then use action verbs and powerful phrases, and emphasize your role. Also, at the end of this exercise, forget about the left side and look at the right side and read it through with a fresh mind, so that you might see that you have repeated some places. Then cluster those duties together, and now you have this thing you can copy and paste in your employment information form, where you have the description of duties. Okay, so then we move to the next one, that is the achievements. And as you know, most of the people find the achievement part more challenging than description of duties. One of the reasons is because you have forgotten your achievements in professional life. Could be personal life also, like achieving a PhD is a big achievement that you can, of course, talk about. So my tip to you is always take a running document, Word document, write down your professional achievement. When this happens, just write some bullet points. So whenever you need to do an application, you have a list of achievements that you can pick and choose for the job that you are going to apply for. And also, as I said, this space is to provide us an overview of the positive results that you have achieved, and also use action verbs, and be clear about your role, and also try to quantify your achievement if it is possible. When we read the example, you will realize how we have quantified the achievement, and also highlight the impact of your achievement. Maybe because of your achievement, there was a good impact on the team or on the organization. So if you look at now the example quickly, it says successfully designed and delivered 4 geophysical projects under a major regional program during the timeline. And you say presented key results to the regional stakeholders as a result. That's where the impact comes. groundwater mapping was increased by 5%. So you see the quantification. So these are some tips for you to write the achievement parts, and also have a habit of keeping all your achievement in a piece of paper so that you don't forget to write it. Now I am in the last part of the application process, that the cover letter. So you have to write a very nice winning cover letter, and remember, this is the space for you to emphasize your value proposition. Do not repeat the EIF. By the time I read the cover letter, I know all about you in your professional career. So there is no need to repeat that information in here. So what do you mean by value proposition? That means tell us briefly, in the first place, why you want the job, and also tell us what kind of value add that you would bring to the job. And also you can tell us how your overall depth and breadth of experience support you, makes you succeed in this job. And also highlight only the salient points, because the best cover letter is should be 1 page long. So therefore, do not repeat the EIF, and customize your cover letter to the vacancy. This means you don't have to invent the wheel. You can use any other cover letter that you applied for a project officer. However, you need to remember to change the addressee, change the title of the post, all of this, because I see a lot of candidates do a very nice cover letter. They forgot to address it to CTBTO. Hiring managers are very concerned about that. They come to me and ask, oh, this candidate did a very good EIF, but he addressed the cover letter to the agency, International Atomic Energy Agency. Shall I disqualify him, him or her? So therefore, be very mindful. You do a very good job in the EIF. Don't leave any room for you to be unsuccessful in the cover letter. And then the last point, also elaborate elements to succeed. This means you can also personalize your application here. You can talk about your personal characteristics, strengths, and attributes, and also tell us how those things would make you a good fit. You are going to convince us you are the best candidate for this position, okay? So use all of these opportunity, and then last but not least, tell your story in such a way to convince us, the recruitment panel, and convince the hiring manager. As I said, we have a very rigorous recruitment process. We will first do the long list, then the hiring manager will look at it, and then he will shortlist. Then there will be a subject matter expert who knows about the subject, but from another division. This person is also going to look at it, and finally the director is going to look at it. So therefore, you need to convince all of these people, and I hope these tips you found them helpful, and you'll be able to use them not only CTBTO, but also in other organizations. So I'll be here during the question and answer time if you have any. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Hema. I want to emphasize the importance of analyzing the job description, because this is where we will move now into the assessment stage. So CTBTO has different methodologies to assess candidates. The mandatory way to assess candidates is through a written assessment. The objective of the written assessment is to first understand your knowledge in the topic, but also it will give us some information about your communication style, the way that you analyze information, the way that you convey ideas. So the type of questions you will get is usually you may get, I don't know, maybe a business case that you need to solve, some numbers that you need to analyze and to make a report about. Also, there may be some open questions that you need to complete. And it's very important that now with artificial intelligence in the world, we analyze also the responses through detectors of AI, just for you to be aware. So this is the mandatory step, the written assessment, but also we may use other methodologies such as on-demand interviews. These are run through a platform, and basically what you would expect from this platform is you will start receiving or getting some questions in front of your screen. You will need to record your answer. These are usually technical questions. You may have a couple of minutes to read it, to prepare your answer, and then 3 to 4 minutes, depending on the type of question your answer. Then the hiring manager, together with other technical experts, will be reviewing and assessing your interviews. And you can do this on your phone, on your tablet, on your computer. But the most important thing, and one of the main mistakes that I see regularly, is the microphone. We struggle sometimes with understanding the candidate, so you will have an opportunity to test the platform before recording your first answer. So please make sure that you are on a silent room, or that you are using a headset so we can understand you clearly. Now, let's say you move into the final stage of the recruitment process, which is the competency-based interviews. And after all the shortlisted candidates have passed the assessment, they move to this stage, and the format is used across different UN agencies and other international organizations. What we are looking for in this part of the process is how you would behave in specific situations and how you apply your skills. So the competency-based interviews, you will see some of the competencies on our on the screen scrolling on the right side. And these are all the type of skills that we may ask you during an interview. The intention of this format of interviews is to understand or predict your job performance based on past behavior. So these are the type of questions where you will get to tell me about a time when you have a conflict with a colleague, or tell me about a time when you have to manage a project with different people from different functions. All these type of questions are the competency-based interviews. So let me give you an example on what are the type of things that we will look for in a specific type of question. So tell us about a time when you have to deal with a difficult team member. What did you do, and what was the result? So when you are answering this type of questions, what I would suggest you to do or to follow is the model that you see below, the context, action, result, and lesson. This is what we call the Carl model. There are other ways to call this, STAR model. There are other ways, but first start with giving us, with the context, give us a little bit more information about the situation, why there was a conflict, why it was challenging, why it was important for you to solve that conflict. Then you move into the action. What was your role? What did you do? Of course, there are situations where maybe you have to involve your supervisor or other team members. That's also important for you to communicate it in the interview, but also it's very important that you share with us your specific role in the example. Then, in terms of the result, there may be situations where the result may not be positive. There may be situations where the result is negative. But with those type of situations, please make sure that also you share your lesson. What did you learn from it? What would you do differently in case you encounter a similar situation in the future? So every time when you are analyzing the job description, and going back to what Gemma was mentioning about the analyzing each of the duties and responsibilities, start thinking about some of the examples that you can use in an interview to convey those skills. And you can start structuring them in a way that follow the context, action, result, and lesson or learning. Okay? One of the main mistakes that we see in interviews is when candidates may think that it's a tricky question. Our questions are very straightforward, and what we are asking is actually what we want to measure. So answer the question following this. Try to avoid going in circles. Sometimes there are candidates that go through the actions, then they share the results, then they go back to the context, then again a little bit about the actions, and they don't share the learning. So it's important for you to have prepared some examples. Personally, I have been a candidate, right? So personally, what I do when I analyze the job description, I write some examples or some keywords that can remind me of situations that I have passed through, and I just have a quick idea on what I need to share following the Carl model. So be clear, be concise. Make sure that you are sharing your specific actions during the interview, but also sharing your learnings about the situations that you are explaining. Now we are wrapping up the part of the recruitment process. So this is just a summary of the rules the golden rules that we call in the recruitment process to have a successful application. So as Gemma mentioned, check our website where you can create your job profile, then match your experience looking at those jobs where you are meeting the requirements, and then write a clear motivational letter sharing your motivation, your competencies, why you are the best candidate for the position, and then prepare for the technical assessments. By reading the job description, you will have a lot of information on what would you expect in an assessment and even in an interview. So that's a very important part of the role, on analyzing that job description, reflecting on those competencies that are needed. Get some examples using the Carl method. Another tip that I find very useful, even I have done it myself and I find it very useful, I have recorded myself answering some questions that I prepare myself, or even asking a colleague to interview me and get some feedback and input on some of the questions that I may get by using a specific job description. That's another tip that I would want to share. Make a good impression. During the interview, you will have the opportunity also to ask questions to the panel members. So think about, before going to the interview, what are the things that you would like to understand more about the role? Maybe you want to understand what are the strategic objectives of the team, what is kind of the culture of the organization. Think about what is the last impression that you want to leave with the rest of the panel members. And finally, if you are not successful, as I have been in many interviews, learn, grow from this experience, reflect on what you could do better, and move into continue applying. A positive thing about this is that you can apply to as many positions as you want. Of course, as Gemma was mentioning, focus on the ones that you meet the qualifications, but the result of one application will not impact the result on other positions. Okay, and before hand it over to my colleague Juliana, I just wanted to share this QR code will take you to the image on the left side, where you will find all our employment opportunities, also some opportunities, the different programs that we have. Of course, as I mentioned, if you are interested in CTBTO, sharing with your professional networks, your university, your institution, some information about the opportunities that we offer, we are also very happy to do that. We are located in the booth next to on the first floor next to the stairs. So please visit us there. And if there are any questions, please also feel free to follow us on LinkedIn and connect with me even if you want, and ask any questions that you may have in the future. So now let's say you finish all the recruitment process, you pass the interviews, then you move into the background checks, the security checks, and the medical clearance. And then you will be supported by our staff development unit on the different staff administration unit, sorry, the other one is mine. The staff administration unit with the entitlements and the benefits that we offer. So for that, I will hand it over to my colleague, Juliana.
So, good morning, everyone. My name is Juliana Gomes Lachini. I come from Brazil. I work in CTBTO since 2020, and contrary to my colleagues, it's my first experience in an international organization. I come from the private sector, So I'm the exception to tell you that it is possible. I have applied many, many years to the UN Common System, and it is a privilege to work in CTBTO, particularly in human resources. We have the opportunity to impact staff life in a very positive way. So I will run through the main benefits that you received as a staff member. So once we extend the offer and we confirm it, we will confirm your start date, and we provide support with all the travel assignment. That means the travel, the visa, and also the transfer of households to Vienna. The salaries in CTBTO are tax exempt. There is a contribution to the pension fund. We are a member of the UN JSPF, which is the UN Joint Staff Pension Fund. We also provide health insurance, which is currently administered by Cigna, but you also have the possibility to enroll with the local Austrian health insurance scheme. There are also optional insurance like life insurance and temporary disability. We offer 30 days of annual leave. We also offer support for your dependents, spouse, and children. CTBTO follows the ICSC sliding scale for education grants, so your dependent children can receive education grant. We also offer rental subsidy. Every 2 years, there is the possibility for home leave to your country of origin. And we also provide continuous learning opportunities. There are mandatory trainings, and there are also optional trainings which we will support through our staff development. I think in a short presentation, that's it from the benefits. I will hand now to my colleague Jeremy, who will introduce the mentorship program with CTBTO. Thank you.
Yes, I keep coming after short people. Good morning. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Jeremy Francis. I'm the Associate Diversity Officer here at CTBTO, and I'm also the coordinator of the CTBTO mentoring program for early career women in STEM. Okay. So about the program. So there are a few key objectives that we have for this program. The first is to create equal opportunities within the fields of science, technology, engineering, and math for women, because they are typically underrepresented in these fields. We want to connect early career women with technical experts, especially senior technical experts within their fields, either from the PTS or from our national data centers or national institutions. And in this regard, we even hope to establish an online professional community within these fields. And most importantly, the objective of this program is to inspire early career women to want to pursue careers in STEM and contribute to the goals and activities of CTBTO. And with that, we can create a talent pipeline of qualified female candidates. So we want to continue to contribute to having more women in positions in non-proliferation and nuclear disarmament. So this program, it was established in 2021, and there have been 4 successful cycles since, in 2022, 2023, 2024, and now 2025. During this period, the program has supported 91 mentees from 6 geographical regions, and most of them have come from underrepresented geographical regions. So, on the left, you'll see the number of mentees for each geographical region up until 2024. This year, we actually had a really strong representation of African mentees. So you see, previously up until 2024, we had 16, and this year alone, we had 22. So now this represents that Africa is now the biggest beneficiary of the CTBTO mentoring program so far. And on the right, you can see the number of mentees per cycle. And this is just showing you how the program has been growing. So starting with 12, then getting to 13, and then doubling in size to 26 in the third cycle. And now, this was achieved basically through a program expansion made possible only by now including our technical experts from the national data centers and also from the national institutions alongside utilizing the PTS technical experts. And this was done to create effect. Because now, in 2025, we were able to achieve an unbelievable goal. For the fourth cycle of the CTBTO mentoring program, we were able to accommodate a staggering 40 mentoring pairs. So this was the largest cohort to date, with 40 mentees from all 6 geographical regions. And this year's cohort, if you looked at the numbers before, is larger than the last 2 cycles combined. It also has 35 of these 40 mentees coming from underrepresented geographical regions. But that's not all. When it comes to our mentors, as you can see from the graph, men are actually taking an active role in empowering the next generation of women leaders in STEM. So here's a photo of some of our CTBTO mentors from this year's cycle, the committed men and women, some of which are returning mentors from previous cycles. But let's talk about this cycle. So the fourth cycle, it ran from 5th of May until the 4th of September. And this year, we introduced a number of new features. So the first was that we included mentees from CTBT non-signatories. This new initiative is aligned with the work of the PTS to promote the signing and ratification of the CTBT so that it enters into force as soon as possible. The idea was that by engaging the youth of CTBT non-signatories, we can encourage the next generation of those states to contribute to the activities of the CTBTO and further support outreach efforts for the universalization of the treaty so that we can put an end to nuclear testing. Secondly, this cycle was unique in the fact that it was hybrid, as opposed to virtual like the previous cycles. So some mentees and mentors based in the same locations were paired with each other to allow for in-person mentoring sessions, such as here in Vienna. So you get to build your professional network even further and even a deeper connection with your mentor. So some mentees that were based here in Vienna had the opportunity to meet with their mentors regularly at the Vienna International Center at CTBTO. And then another new feature of this year's cycle was the introduction of multilingualism. Some mentees and mentors were paired together specifically because they had a common native language. So apart from the spoken language of English of the program, with the intention of them being able to express themselves more freely and help build even closer bonds with their mentors. Additionally, it would help with the translation of further understanding of the CTBTO activities into the local communities that they would be working with in terms of back at their national states. But the best part of this year's cycle is that it concluded at the CTBTO Science and Technology Conference 2025, which you're all currently here at. And here you can see a mentor, a mentee, and myself here. So, we're here for a recruitment session. Throughout the program, we offer a number of skill booster sessions, both from our technical and non-technical divisions. And on screen, you will see one of them. And this is probably most relevant for you today. This is our recruitment bootcamp. And with the recruitment bootcamp, we try to build the skills in our mentees to be able to navigate the recruitment processes, especially at international organizations. And it actually seems to be working out. because I'd like to introduce you to Valentine Wangari. You may have seen her at the OSI exhibit, which is just down the hall over the last couple of days. And she's actually the first mentee to be hired at the PTS. She's an intern at OSI, and actually, she will be joined by another mentee in October, Glisa May Bontuit. She's from the Philippines, and she will be joining our IDC division. And I hope to continue to encourage early career women to join the PTS and make the most of the opportunities that we hope to provide to them. So I just want to say a big thank you to you all for your time, and just leave you with these words from our executive secretary. Take every opportunity to add value to others. So thank you for the fourth cycle.
Thank you, Jeremy. So now with this, we have finalized the session, but we are happy to answer some of your questions. So in case you have any questions in the room, please feel free to go to one of the microphones, and I'm happy to answer. Yes, there is one question.
Okay. Thank you for your insightful presentations. I'm one of the mentee this cycle, and I have a questions, maybe two. So in case I found an internship vacancy that I'm interested in, but I don't have all the listed required skill, should I still apply? And do you have any recommendations or suggestions that I could put on my CV or my motivation letter to get shortlisted or even get selected? Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for your question. So as Hema mentioned, it will be very important for you to focus on the essential skills that are described in the job description. If these are listed as essential, you will be disqualified automatically from the system. However, if the requirements are mentioned as desirable or they are an asset, I would encourage you to apply. Also, it's a good exercise for you to understand what are we looking in the organization, so maybe you can find ways for you to develop those skills, such as in training, connecting with other professionals via LinkedIn, so maybe you can work together on a project or a research paper. So that will give you the opportunity to also understand what we're looking for and then apply. In terms of what I would recommend you to increases the chance of your application, let's go back to the cover letter. As international organizations, we are looking for highly motivated professionals, which have a very strong connection with the mission, but also that their values are connected with what we do. And sometimes in cover letters, we don't see that connection that clearly. And I can say that maybe half of candidates, you will not see that maybe they will say, yes, I'm very interested in joining CTBTO because of the mission, but why your journey has taken you to take this opportunity sometimes is not that clear for us. So if a cover letter answers 3 questions, which would be why you are motivated to join the organization and why you are the best candidate, that's the first question. Second question, what are those competencies that can add value to the organization? It's also part of the answers that we get into the cover letter. And finally, if there are any technical skills that can add value to the position, such as a certification, a second language, software that you are already very proficient with, right now with machine learning, artificial intelligence, that's a skill that all organizations are looking for. So if you can tell us that story of why you are motivated to join the organization and connected with the values, then what are those competencies, and finally those technical skills, that's a very solid cover letter. When we receive hundreds of applications, sometimes the cover letter will be the differentiating point or document that we will use to make a decision. So it's very important for you to take a look into that. I hope that answers your question. Yes, I see two questions. Three questions. Can you please get into the microphone, please? Yes. Please. All of you, and then one by one. Thank you.
Thank you. I am actually asking for a friend who had to leave. Her question was if an internship is considered as work experience in the. I mean, if you did an internship in the related field, is it considered as work experience? And what did you mean when you said about educational grants? I mean, can they support an obtaining master's degree or PhD? She wrote me the message. I just read it.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I will try to clarify that.
Thank you so much.
So in terms of the internship, yes, we consider internship as professional experience, so that will be considered in your application. And for the education grant, it's a benefit that is given to the children of the staff members. So it's not for the personal use of the staff members. For that we have staff development programs internally. But the education grant is just for the dependents of the staff members. Yes, please. Yes, thank you.
Hi, audience. My question is simple about age. One is for myself, like when is the retirement age at your organization, so I can still thinking worth applying or not. Another question is for my students. What is the eligible age for applying for internship? Yeah.
Yes. So the minimum, I will start with the internship. So the minimum age to start applying is 18 years of age with a maximum of 35 years of age for internship program. And in terms of the retirement age is 65 years. We are expecting that staff members will be able to have at least 3 years of service in the organization. So that would be 62 years when they are applying to CTBTO.
Hi, my name is Violeta Hamidi, and I'm from Kosovo. My country is not part yet of this great organization because of its status in UN. But my question is related to non-discrimination policy. How do you address it, and do you receive complaints about any kind of inequality in terms of representation of areas in the world to work and contribute to the organization? My first question, and the second is there a sponsorship of other countries that could sponsor qualified candidates that would be evaluated indiscriminate of their come from or their citizenship, so that there is opportunity to enrich the expertise and the experience of people, but also benefit the organization from diverse backgrounds and qualifications? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. As many other international organizations, we only receive applications from our state signatories. So only candidates coming from state signatories are able to apply for CTBTO. In terms of programs, I'm not aware of any other program that can offer opportunities for non-state signatories members. I hope that answers your... I have not received any personally, so no that I'm aware of. As I mentioned, I recently joined the organization, but it's a serious topic. In case we receive that, we will do all the due diligence to understand what are those issues. Any other questions? Yes. I have another question.
Hi, yes, sorry. Thank you again for the presentation. I find it very insightful as a young professional. I wonder if a young person, a student, were to be selected for an internship, what are the opportunities at CTBTO after the conclusion of that internship, could they be hired as a consultancy? I think that's the UN term for it. Or is that temporary contract? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Yes, so in fact, there is not immediate hiring after an internship to another contract type. However, we encourage former interns to also continue studying depending of what their field, looking for opportunities in other organizations, maybe to strengthen their skills in a specific field, and then come back to CTBTO. So that's usually the way that I have seen personally in this couple of months that I've been here. Good. Any other questions? No? Good. So thank you so much for your interest. As I mentioned, I'm happy to connect with you on LinkedIn to clarify any of your questions. Also, we will be in the booth located on the first floor to answer all your questions. And thank you so much for today, and happy Friday, happy weekend, and happy end of the S&T.